He is the one.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. Welcome along to the wilds of Suffolk. I'm out here yet again, doing what I do, walking along at beautiful locations. And today, look at it, it's gorgeous. Giving you my thoughts and opinions on things that are happening in the world and the public consciousness. If it's your first time here, welcome. I hope you enjoy what I'm doing today. If you're a returning subscriber, or 1,315, I think there are of you today, welcome back, or welcome one and all. It's a pleasure and an honour for me to have you join me for these walks. So today, by the title, I'm entitling this video, Go Fuck Yourselves. Now, of course that's not directed at you people who are tuning in to watch this, but it is in reference to an interview that Elon Musk did, where he was on stage at an event and being interviewed, and he was asked about the advertisers pulling advertising from the X platform, or Twitter as you know, formerly known, and his response was, go fuck yourselves. So if you haven't seen it, I advise that you go and have a look at it, because it's a great interview, and he touched on a lot of different subjects, and I'm going to touch on a few of those today, and why I think he was absolutely 100% correct in how he responded, and that is exactly how we should respond to the council culture that's happening every day in the world that we're living in right now. So in the interview, obviously there was a number of different subjects that were brought up, and obviously with who Elon Musk is, he's a very controversial character. I don't agree with everything he does and says. Neuralink, I'm not entirely sure about. AI, I'm very on the fence with. Tesla, great, but EV vehicles are full of radiation, electrical radiation, that you're sitting on top of a massive battery and they catch fire all the time. Not so great. So there are some things that are questionable about who Elon Musk is, who his family is, how he was raised, and the fact that most of his life he's been part of the club. But should that disqualify him from his deeds and what he's trying to do? That's the questions we have to ask ourselves. Much like when we question Trump or Putin or Xi in China, can bad people do good things? I've stated many a time, I'm far from perfect. I've done bad things in my life. I haven't always been a good person. I've been a prick sometimes. I've been a complete bastard. And, I'm not absolving myself of responsibility for the things that I've done in my life. I've had to go back and apologise for a lot of things that I've done wrong. And I have to live with the consequences of my actions as well, So the karmic responsibility that we all carry with us, I suppose. Now, in this interview, the interviewer was talking about Tesla, for instance, and if you don't know, Elon was sued by the SEC for unlicensed securities, because nowadays the SEC likes to believe that everything is an unlicensed security because, well, the government needs to raise money just to keep operational in the US because they're corrupt scumbags, especially the SEC. He was sued by the SEC. He eventually gave in and settled with them, even though he said he did nothing wrong. Much like Ripple with their lawsuit, completely unwarranted, completely unfounded. The judge struck it down and said XRP is not a security, for those who don't know. But yet the SEC refuses to acknowledge what they're doing, they're destroying industries in the US and sending them overseas to different countries, namely China, where mysteriously there's another outbreak of a mysterious pneumonia virus that's affecting children just in time for another American election. Isn't that coincidental? But as we all know, there's no such thing as a coincidence, right? So in the interview, he spoke about Tesla and how he was using EV vehicles to make the planet greener. And if you believe in that whole climate change bit, that we should all be going to electric vehicles, perhaps in the future, if we have different kinds of batteries that are made solid state or something like that, rather than the cobalt and the other rare earth minerals that we have to dig out of the ground using diesel trucks and diesel cranes and diesel diggers and diesel ships to ship it around the world. But I suppose that in a way you could say that he is trying to do his best with the tools that he has available. Let's give him that, yeah? Now, in the interview, one of the main topics, which is the one that everyone is finding very controversial, the interviewer, I can't remember what his name is, it doesn't really matter, he's a wanker anyway, he's a journalist, which means by association, wanker, lying propagandist scum. He asked, what do you think about the advertisers? Well, earlier in the day, actually, a guy called Bob Iger, who's the head of Disney. Now, if you don't know, Disney owns everything. Paramount, the Star Wars brand, they own everything. You know, there's six, like I said in my last video, 6 media corporations own all the media. 6. Disney's one of them. They own CBS and Paramount and lots and lots of other media brands are owned by Disney. Now, Disney said, as this guy Bob Iger said, we decided to pull our adverts from Twitter or X because of the comments, anti-Semitism, of course, because you can't say anything about Israel or, the way the events that are taking place in Israel and between Israel and Palestine. Now, as I've said before, I have friends from both sides of that argument, and as I've maintained, and I will always maintain, nobody's right when everybody's wrong. And everybody's wrong in this one. You know, the people who launched the attack, the people who knew the attack was coming and let it happen, the way that the Israelis responded, I mean, it is the Zionists who are there to cause trouble, who are in charge of the Mossad and their actions around the world, the CIA and those kind of intelligence, and I use that term very loosely, intelligence agencies who cause these kind of acts to happen are responsible for it, to create division and hatred and anger, and it keeps on going. It's an ongoing problem because the children are taught to hate, and their children are taught to hate, and the conflict goes on and on because of the anger and hatred and the bitterness. Rather than looking at messages that come through books like the Bible, like turn the other cheek, be the bigger man and walk away. And I'm not saying that there shouldn't be retribution, but when innocent people are caught in the middle of this by hurting other innocents, it doesn't make your case look any better. So when Elon Musk expressed similar views about the way that it's being handled there, he was labelled an anti-Semite, of course. And, perhaps he is. I'm not going to judge whether he is or not. But the comments that he made were certainly not. But that's the thing. It's nowadays, you're an anti-Semite, you're a racist, you're a xenophobe. There's a label that gets put onto everything that you do if you go against the narrative. And that's cancel culture. Now, this guy Bob Iger, who is the head of Disney, one of the largest corporations in the world. Remember what I said last video, where I was saying that a very small number of people control the media, a very small number of people control the the money, very small number of people control the world, essentially. Bob Iger is one of them. And earlier in the day, Bob Iger was interviewed by the same interviewer, and he said, we've decided to pull our adverts from Paramount and the other media organisations that are owned by Disney because of the comments that Elon Musk made and other comments that were other people on the platform, not associated with Twitter or X in any way, but just people like myself. Other comments that people were making, they determined that they were discriminatory and that they did not align with the message that Disney wanted to portray about their company. So they decided to pull advertising from the platform. And he said, I like Elon Musk, blah, 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 talk, but he said we decided to pull advertising. Now, when Elon was interviewed, the interviewer said, what do you think about companies pulling advertising from Twitter, X, in response to this? And he said, you know what, do it, and I want to give a message, go fuck yourselves. If you're going to try and blackmail me using advertising money to have me conform to a message, then go fuck yourselves. I want to make that clear. Go fuck yourself, Bob, if you're in the audience. Hi, Bob Iger. Nice touch, really, really nice touch. Now, the reason I say that he was absolutely correct in the way that he handled that, we've seen many times that people have been attacked by the cancel culture. Now, the cancel culture is driven by this thing called ESG, which is environmental social governance, right? Which is another terminology, a slave terminology that was dreamed up by the World Economic Forum, of course, and it's used as a cudgel to drown out any opposing voice to their narrative, to their plan, to have everybody obey a way of being, a way of talking, and the non-questioning of the way that they want to implement their one world order, new world order of a non-governmental, non-elected world governing body. They're like the World Health Organization and United Nations, all that kind of nonsense, where they determine, unelected people determine what speech we can use, how we can talk, who we can talk to, and how we interact with each other based on their principles that they dictate. Now, it's all done through this ESG. Now, ESG, environmental social governance, is funded by organisations like BlackRock, Vanguard, State Street, the largest corporations in the world that have access to the central bank's printing presses, so they have unlimited funds to do as they will with. And there's a backdoor out of the Federal Reserve in the US that allows them to have as much money as they want for any causes they want, and they use the power and the money and the influence to threaten and blackmail everyone into non-existence should they step outside of the pen that they belong in. As a farmed slave animal that we all are, should you choose to go against that narrative or to question the narrative or to say fuck you, then they will cut off the funds to you via ESG. There's a whole pile of tick boxes. If you have a transsexual do your advertising for you, that's a big tick. There we go. Much like, who is it? There's a vodka brand, I can't think what it's called now. It's a shitty vodka anyway. There's now done an advert where, you'd have to drink enough of this vodka that you'd actually drown your liver and die before you'd accept the bullshit that they're trying to tell you in the advert. So, much like Bud Lights, they're going to go down the pan as well. I can't think of the name of the brand of vodka. I do apologise. I had it in my brain for a little while, but that's how important it is to me. Like a fart in the wind. So, this cancel culture mob that is funded and run and organised by the World Economic Forum through organisations like Vanguard, State Street, BlackRock, through ESG, uses that funding, that advertising money, their money, influence and power to govern speech, to govern thoughts. It is 1984 on steroids. All that's missing now is the world police to come and police that, but we already have that police state anyway. Everything you say, everything you watch, everything you read, everything you send, all the dick pics you send around the world, they're all stored. They know exactly who you are, where you live, they know everything about you because of the little thing that you're holding in your hand to watch this video. So we've seen in the past where people have stepped outside the lane and said something that they're not supposed to say, you know, Hollywood actors or singers, and they might come out later and issue an apology for what they said. But then that only gets the mob even more agitated, because then they want them cancelled altogether because, well, you shouldn't have said it in the first place. So you can never, ever, ever back down to these monsters that are trying to take away your ability to speak and to think for yourself and to question the narrative. So Elon's response, yeah, I prefer, you know, that you know, if that's the way you feel, that yeah, you go fuck yourself, and that's how we should all respond. Now I have, and I know a lot of you have as well, been through a bit of a mission over the past few years, dealing with the nonsense that was the COVID bullshit, and we had the cancel mob being your friends, family, and just anonymous people on the internet, usually bots, attacking anything you said that went against the narrative of that the government and the people in white coats told you what to think. Now, my response during the whole thing was, go fuck yourself. You know, as it should be, and I hope yours was too. Now, as we go forward, and we see more and more of this happening, as people start to realise what's been going on, and the police state that we live in, that it's heavily policed by intelligence agencies, corporate shills, people who are paid, like the Krasensteins on Twitter. I don't think they're on there anymore. I think they had their asses handed to them so many times, I think they're gone. But there are many, many people that are paid to go against any narrative that goes against the narrative. Does that make sense? They are the, as we are the counterculture, they are the counter to the counterculture. So, the message I want to give you all is never ever bow to the cancel culture. Doesn't matter what the attack is. Doesn't matter, you know, if you've stated something and you believe that thing to be true, and you're willing to stand your ground, then don't back down, because as soon as you give an inch, they will cancel you anyway. And that's not the world that I want to live in. It's not the world I want to leave for my children, and it's certainly not the world that any of us should want to take part in, because if you can't have your own viewpoint and express that viewpoint, no matter if somebody thinks it's hateful, you know, if somebody's offended by it, you know what? I'm offended by offence. So whose offence is stronger? You know, do you have to be a black transsexual lesbian to have your opinion be worthwhile? Well, I mean, I don't know. Next week it could be something completely different. That the protected class is someone else. But ultimately, the protected class is the people that you can't question. And they're, you know, in this world, we all should have our own identity, you know, regardless of who you are, what you want to be. I'll accept you, but don't force me to accept that I can't say what I want to say. No matter how hateful you deem it, there's certain things you're not allowed to say, as I found out when I told Justin Trudeau on Twitter X that he should use the MAID, M-A-I-D program that he has implemented in Canada. If you don't know what that is, have a look. MAID program in Canada. When I told Justin Trudeau to use that, I was instantly thrown off the platform until I deleted that tweet. And that is based on, you can't suggest that somebody go and do that. Even though the program is there for exactly that reason. If you don't know what it is, please go and have a look and you understand what I'm saying. So the message is for today: if you are standing up to the cancel culture and you are raising valid points and you are pushing back against the narrative that enslaves us all, and people try and say to you, you must obey, just take a leaf out of Elon Musk's book and say, go fuck yourself, and go about your day, whistling and smiling and skipping down the beach, going woohoo! And that will not only piss everybody off, but it will make a point. And also take the time to, if you're subscribed to any of the Disney or Disney subsidiary companies, Disney Plus, Paramount Plus, all that kind of nonsense, cancel your subscription. Say what you want to say. Doesn't have to be in words, it can be with your money, it can be with your time. Withdraw your attention, withdraw your money, withdraw your time, and withdraw everything that they need to survive. And if they don't change their tune, then they lose the company. Investors will eventually push back and say, you are destroying our investment in your company. We demand that the board sacks all the people responsible for the decisions that they're making and moves to in a different direction, because ultimately investors have the power over the companies they invest in. And the public, us, you and me, keep sharing information that runs counter, share information that you think is going to educate people on how things work, and try and move forward in a way that is going against the cancel culture and making our world a better place, where you can actually say what you mean and mean what you say, and fuck the cancel culture, fuck the cancel culture rather, and keep the narrative going. We are the resistance, and we are the awakened, and we are taking part in the great awakening. So go out and do that. So thank you one and all for joining me today. Short walk and talk. I've got lots to do. It's been a busy day already. Thank you one and all for joining me. It's really a pleasure and honor to have you here. I will keep on serving you in my best capacity and bringing you videos from these beautiful locations. And today it doesn't get better than this. It really doesn't. It's a beautiful day on the beach. Couldn't help but come down here. So thank you all. Love you lots, and go out into the world. Do good. Be good. You can change the world with the way that you talk, the way that you speak, the way that you think, and the information you share, and the way that you're interacting with people. So do that. We can make the world a better place. But most important of all, look after yourself, look after each other, and I look forward to seeing you real soon. Ciao for now.